Dream's older editor recently got exposed for particular actions. Please, YouTube, don't pull the bam hammer on me. With someone unconsensually. This situation is disgusting. I do want to preface by stating, Dream really has nothing to do with the situation. It's just someone who did work for Dream for a couple of videos, but it's nothing that has to actually do with Dream, aside from the fact, again, that it was one of his prior editors. And that goes without saying that Dream is very hated on almost every platform because of his fan base, so I don't want anyone trying to go after Dream because of the situation. It's simply not his fault, and Dream basically has nothing to do with it. Trigger warning. Firesale, Dream's editor, posted this tweet longer about sexually assaulting someone and deactivated it so no one saw it. That lol doesn't seem very appropriate for the situation at hand, but you know what, we'll move on. But the person who tweeted this out did attach a couple of images in which they essentially show this deleted tweet longer that I'll be reading to you now. If I stutter or mess up a word, please don't bully me. I'm not very good at reading this small text. Owning up to my actions. Hello everyone, I'd like to come forward about something that I've done. I would like for you all to please read this all the way through before replying. Around 6 months ago, me and one of my close friends who was staying with me at the time for a couple of days got sexual, and at the time I thought I understood their boundaries, but I was wrong. I was very pushy for sexual acts and made them very uncomfortable. I still pushed onwards. I did use some manipulation tactics to get sexual favors out of them. However, I will make it clear on what happened without going too into detail. I was extremely pushy towards sexual acts with this friend, and I used manipulation tactics to get what I wanted out of them. When they would say no, I would become sad and depressed in order to get them to feel bad and for them to cave in. As I used protection, I did use the that's disgusting. No, that's actually gross. Skipping over that for you who want to see it, which you probably don't, pause to read. There was a pregnancy scare with my close friend due to my own stupidity, which resulted in a possible leakage, which caused my friend to have pregnancy-like symptoms. Of course, panicking, they had to take a test. I now understand how my actions caused harm towards those closest to me. Although I may have changed, these actions are still my own. I think it's best that I confess publicly about my actions. I made amends with the person involved, but this does not change what I did. I am sorry for those who are hurt by my actions. Then Firesale had deactivated their account. The only way we can find this apology, since it's archived on other people's accounts, but it's actually disgusting how you deactivate after you make this, is just deleting your apology. You're literally just deleting your apology. Like, you can log out of the account. You don't need to deactivate it, because then your apology has no more value already with the lack of value that it had in the first place. So then you delete it so that your words are taken with even less moral value. It makes no sense. This is not the only insight we have to the situation, because if so, this video would be about 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, or there would be no video in the first place. I'm just trying to spread the situation out at that point, which I still very well am. The victim actually made a response to this, which I haven't seen anyone else talk about yet. By the way, I forgot to mention this. There is a GoFundMe link down in the description, essentially just trying to raise money for these victims that have been affected by Firesale's actions. So if you have anything, please go down and donate. Originally, I was going to make a video with a voice response to the situation, but I've broken down multiple times from stress. As much as I wanted to verbally speak on this topic instead of making a tweet longer response, I've had to come down to this decision instead for the sake of my own mental health. I'll try to be as clear as I can about the situation. As much as it sucks to speak up on it, I feel like it is important to truly understand how minimized her initial post was. But on top of this, I didn't want this to be public at all, and it was never once ran through me nor my boyfriend. I'm not upset at the people who spread this information to the point it had to get public, but this is extremely humiliating. According to her, multiple people were telling her, if you don't speak up on this, someone else will, placing her under emotional duress and confessing out of guilt versus speaking up on what was really true. I'm here to speak up on behalf of what actually happened, instead of just accepting a one-sided confession post being online and blowing up. It was almost insulting on how minimized she made it out to be. I also wanted to forget about it, so I'm not really feeling too great having to remember this, but I also know it's probably the best to speak up for myself. I have too much of a guilty conscience to stay silent, and I'm also very disgusted, revolted even, by the way she worded things, and I want to clarify things on my own behalf. In June 2021, I moved in with Firesale as a potential roommate for a few months to get me back onto my feet. The place I lived prior, West Coast, was dense in population and extremely competitive to get jobs. Even for small ones like being a cashier at the dollar store, I was struggling with getting a job, and on top of that, wanting to move out because my parents didn't really want me there anymore and kept bringing up the idea of going to military. After moving, I was suffering jet lag of a 3+ hour difference and a 5-hour flight. Originally, I was supposed to move in July, but she told her parents next week. She told me if I wasn't able to, her parents would grow skeptical of me and won't let me move in. So I just went in with it, being kind of pissed off, but also happy knowing I'm finally moving out. Later on, I asked her parents why they were skeptical, and they responded confused. They never mentioned anything about being skeptical and told me directly that if I had to wait another month, they'd be very more glad. At the end of May, multiple people can vouch, she makes a statement on her private Twitter saying that she's yourself. Everybody's freaking the hell out, and I managed to get into a call alongside 2 others, another friend alongside my boyfriend, as she has a rear camera on showing her walking a crowd back and forth a bridge saying she's gonna jump. Prior to this, she sent me a very disturbing message about how when she dies, her parents are just going to replace her with me, and that I can have her cat Stormy. I've never been so uncomfortable being told something in my life before. In all honesty, we all 3 managed to calm her down, and my boyfriend personally drove down to pick her up and let her spend the night at his house for precautionary purposes. The landing time was around 1 a.m. and the drive to her home was roughly an hour. Around 2 to 3 a.m. I put my stuff down and expressed great tiredness and wanting to sleep, and she asked specifically if I could cuddle and sleep with her. I was assuming platonically, as I believe platonic cuddling is alright. Currently at this time frame, I was her best friend and also knew she was going through and wanted to make her feel emotionally better. I started getting sleepy, and she starts touching me and asking me if it's okay to escalate. I was thrown off by this a little bit and asked what she meant by that. She started asking for me to touch her, constantly apologized, saying she's sorry if it's too soon and she's just feeling sad. I feel a little obligated. She went out of her way to get me out of a household I necessarily didn't want to be in, and even got her parents to drive down and pick me up despite it being so late. My boyfriend now, at the beginning offered to pick me up, but she was oddly very, very persistent on wanting to instead. Since we all respected each other and we knew we were going to meet up at one point, it was just dropped like nothing alarming. I wish I viewed this red flag sooner in hindsight, but this is my problem. In her post, she mentions for a couple of days and doesn't bother mentioning the fact that she enabled it. This didn't happen for just a few days either. This lasted for 2 months, each time getting progressively more and more obsessive. She would resort to very frequent suicide baiting tactics and emotional manipulation in order to get favors out of me. Nothing intercourse related until about a month in. At one point, she was starting to grow unsatisfied and wanted to pleasure me as well. I never received until then, insisting to buy condoms soon if it were to escalate at that point. Eventually, we got around to the store and to get some, and she forgets her wallet. Condoms were not used more than once, and I knew because I was the one paying for them. I didn't want to catch anything and wanted to take precaution instead of doing something I might possibly regret. It was nothing more than that to me. My boyfriend would also like to add that she would suddenly talk about being happy with me being there, and he noticed how strangely worded it would be. He pointed out to her that she couldn't rely off me for her happiness, and she kind of just brushed it off like it was whatever. I'd like to clarify, I said no at first, as I was demisexual during the time, gray ace now, and reserved things like that for relationships. I just wanted to chill out for a few months before doing anything stupid, as I was not mentally the best during this time period. She'd constantly mention that she's sad or starts crying, and always make me feel really bad because I hated seeing her like that, and knew it was literally one of the only things making her happy. I should have never thought this was okay to do, but over time I'm starting to realize more and more how mentally can I pronounce words correctly? Like I don't mean to interrupt. It's like an extremely appropriate time to interrupt this, but like I need to learn how to speak. A few days after meeting my other friend, we started developing feelings toward each other, and I confessed it to firesale, hoping I'd receive a positive OMG type response, but that wasn't what I got at all. She told me relationships were overrated and that she would keep doing what we had going instead. At this point, I grew strongly uncomfortable and started rejecting favors more frequently, watching her mentally spiral more and more over the span of a few days, not knowing what to do anymore. We ended up getting together anyways, Koneko, and favors were cut off from there. I asked for some time to hang out with him at his house, and she was oddly persistent on either wanting to come or asking to let me stay. We ended up getting alone, and I immediately realized I just broke down on his couch. I felt miserable. I thought what I was doing was right, but I didn't realize I was the only one contributing to the problem and confessed everything to him. I messed up so bad on that last part. I butchered it, dude. Immediately upon hearing this, he contacted firesale and asked if this is true. She never denied anything. In fact, she confirmed everything that had happened. At this point, my boyfriend took initiative on getting me out of her house, and I've been in a safe place ever since. I'm thankful for everything that he's done for me in regards to recovering. We made private amends in October, but I immediately sought therapy and got off the internet to do so. Around December, I come back hearing the situation became public, and not gonna lie, it's insanely embarrassing, as I had no say on whether this was going to be public. I only found out about her post because of my younger sibling contacting me and asking about it if it was me, since I moved in at the same time frame, which sucked. I'm currently in massive medical debt, as I've been unable to work and dealing with PTSD over the situation, which I'm now on medication for. I would greatly appreciate if you could possibly help me out a little bit bit and donate here. Thank you for reading this if you did, and thank you for your patience. Reading this whole thing has gave a new insight to the situation that I never thought I'd see. It incriminates firesale just as much, even if more, than the initial situation, and I feel really bad for the victim for having to go through this emotional trauma. I don't mean to be insensitive, but this does relate back to like the Sky Does Minecraft situation or something along those lines, with moving in with an emotionally manipulative, abusive person. And it's honestly disgusting, but all I did for this video is to come here to essentially just expose the situation to a bunch of people, because I haven't seen like actually big people talk about this. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this, and I feel like more people should be known about the situation so that firesale can't endanger anyone else, and you can be well aware of the situation. But if you did enjoy this video, then go up and there should be a video like right on screen right now which could be similar to this video. So if you did enjoy this content, then go check this out. But yeah, that's about it. Bye.